There's a plant in 73% of homes right now that can shut down a child's airway in under 2 hours. And it's not even the deadliest one on this list. Dumb cane. It's the houseplant your neighbor keeps on their windowsill. Broad, glossy leaves splashed with cream and green. Sold everywhere as low maintenance and beginner-friendly. It sits in offices, daycares, living rooms. Nobody warns you. The danger hides inside microscopic cells called idioblasts, packed with needle-sharp calcium oxalate crystals, stored under pressure like loaded syringes. Chew the leaf, and those needles fire into your tongue, throat, and esophagus. They don't just stab. They carry enzymes that trigger a massive histamine release, swelling the airway from the inside. A 3-year-old boy chewed one leaf. Within 2 hours, he was hypersalivating, seizing, and his throat was closing. Doctors had to intubate him to keep him breathing. The name dumb cane comes from what it does to the voice. The swelling steals your ability to speak before it steals your ability to breathe. It's the most ordinary plant on this list. That's exactly what makes it the most dangerous. Rosary pea. A tropical vine that produces small, polished seeds, bright crimson with one perfect black dot. So beautiful that humans have strung them into bracelets, necklaces, and prayer beads for centuries. Tourists buy them in markets. Children pick them up off the ground. Inside each seed sits a toxin called abrin, roughly 25 times more lethal than ricin. It sneaks into your cells and snaps a single bond on your ribosomes, the machines that build every protein your body needs to live. Your cells simply stop manufacturing. One thoroughly chewed seed can kill an adult. The symptoms come hours later, and that delay is the cruelty. First, violent diarrhea, then bloody diarrhea. Then your capillaries start leaking, your kidneys fail, seizures begin. By the time you understand what's happening, the damage is done. Jewelry makers have died just from drilling holes through these seeds. The dust got into a cut. This plant didn't become dangerous in the wild. It became dangerous the moment humans decided it was pretty enough to wear. Deadly nightshade. It grows along hedgerows and woodland edges across Europe and North America. Dull green leaves, small, glossy black berries that look like wild cherries. Foragers mistake them for bilberries. Children pick them because they taste sweet. 10 berries contain enough atropine to kill an adult. The toxins jam the receptors that let your nerves talk to your organs. The classic syndrome reads like a curse. Blind as a bat, mad as a hatter, red as a beet, hot as a hair, dry as a bone. You stop sweating, so your body overheats. Your pupils blow wide open. You hallucinate. You convulse. Your heart races itself into failure. The name belladonna means beautiful woman. Renaissance women dripped it into their eyes to dilate their pupils for cosmetic appeal, not realizing that what dilates a pupil can also stop a heart. It was the favorite poison of Roman empresses and medieval assassins for a reason. It doesn't look like death, it looks like a berry. Oleander. Drive through any warm city on earth, and you'll see it planted along highways, in parking lots, around schools, cities plant it by the thousands. It survives where almost nothing else will. Every part of it can kill you. The leaves, the flowers, the sap, even the smoke from burning it. The toxins lock onto the pumps in your heart muscle and shut them down. Calcium floods the cells. Potassium floods the blood. The heart's electrical system unravels. A 21-year-old woman brewed a tea from 10 oleander leaves. By the time she reached the ER, her heart rate had crashed to 46. Her conduction system was failing in waves. Atropine couldn't pull her back. She survived only because of prolonged intensive care. The toxin doesn't break down when the leaves dry. It doesn't break down when they're boiled. It doesn't break down in smoke. People have been hospitalized just from roasting hot dogs on oleander sticks. The most dangerous plant on this list isn't hidden in some remote jungle. It's probably within a mile of where you're sitting right now. Monkshood. Tall spires of deep purple-blue flowers shaped exactly like a monk's cowl. It grows wild in the mountains of Europe and Asia, and gardeners cultivate it in cottage gardens around the world because it's stunning. The danger sits in the roots. The toxin is so potent it can be absorbed through unbroken skin. It pries open the channels in your nerves and refuses to let them close. Signals fire endlessly until the whole system collapses. Numbness starts in your lips and tongue, then spreads. Your heart skips, then races, then fails. Death can come within hours. Gardeners have been poisoned just from pulling weeds without gloves. In medieval Europe, they called it wolfsbane, smeared on arrows to bring down wolves, and according to legend, smeared on a different kind of arrow to bring down kings. The gap between a medicinal dose and a lethal one is measured in fractions of a gram. Nature gave this plant a hood for a reason. Angel's trumpet. Enormous trumpet-shaped flowers, peach, white, gold, soft pink, hanging down from a small tree like ornaments. At dusk, they release a sweet, intoxicating scent. People plant it in courtyards. Influencers photograph it. Tourists stand under it just for the smell. Every part of the plant is saturated with toxins, but in wildly unpredictable concentrations. One flower might be mild. The next flower, on the same tree, might be lethal. The poisoning doesn't just hurt the body, it hijacks the mind. Victims describe hallucinations so realistic they can't tell them apart from waking life. Patients have walked into traffic. They've torn out their own teeth. They've harmed people they loved while convinced they were doing something else entirely. The pupils blow wide, the skin burns dry, the heart races past 140. For centuries, traditional shamans used it in ritual, but always with extraordinary caution, because the line between vision and death was paper thin. This plant doesn't kill you cleanly. It makes you a stranger to yourself first. Then it kills you. Foxglove. Tall, elegant spires of speckled bell-shaped flowers, pink, purple, cream freckled inside like the throat of something wild. Cottage gardens are built around it. Bees love it. Painters love it. The leaves contain the same compounds that gave the world digitalis, one of the oldest heart medicines in modern pharmacology. The same molecule that steadies a failing heart in a controlled dose can stop a healthy one in a slightly larger dose. There is no wide, safe margin. There is a knife's edge. The leaves are the trap. They look enough like comfrey and other edible greens that people have brewed them into herbal teas and never woken up. Symptoms start with nausea and yellow-tinged vision. Then the heart rhythm fractures, slow beats, skipped beats, collapse. For 250 years, Foxglove has lived in the strange space between medicine and murder. It has saved more lives than almost any plant in history, and ended more by accident than almost any other in a temperate garden. Beauty here isn't a disguise. It's a warning that was simply too pretty to read. English yew. Dark, dense, evergreen. Planted in churchyards across England for 1,000 years, clipped into hedges, shaped into topiary, brushed against by children playing. The bright red berries look almost edible. The soft red flesh technically isn't what kills you. The danger sits in the seed inside that berry, and in every needle, the toxins block the channels in your heart, simultaneously. The heart slows. The rhythm widens into something monstrous, on an ECG. Then it simply stops. A healthy 3-9-year old man brewed a tea from yew needles on a bet with a friend. He went into cardiac arrest within hours. CPR restored his pulse, but not his brain. He survived as a body without a mind. The yew was sacred to the Druids and planted in graveyards because they believed it marked the boundary between worlds. 2 to 5 hours, from ingestion to cardiac standstill. The tree in the churchyard wasn't decoration, it was the gatekeeper. Poison hemlock. It grows in ditches, along roadsides, beside creeks. A tall, lacy, white-flowered weed that looks almost exactly like wild carrot, wild parsley, or fennel. Foragers die from it every single year. The only reliable difference is a faint, mousy smell and reddish-purple splotches on the stem. The toxin binds to every neuromuscular junction in your body. First, it stimulates them, tremors, salivation, racing pulse. Then it blocks them completely. Your muscles stop receiving the signal to contract. The paralysis climbs upward from your feet. Your legs go first, then your torso, then your chest. Your diaphragm fails. You suffocate, slowly. And here's the worst part. The toxin does nothing to your mind. You remain entirely awake, entirely aware, fully conscious of your own suffocation. This is exactly what killed Socrates in 399 BC. We've known about this plant for over 2,000 years. People still mistake it for parsley. Manchineel? It grows on tropical beaches in Florida, the Caribbean, and Central America. A wide, leafy tree, offering shade exactly where exhausted tourists want to sit. The fruit looks like a small green apple. The Spanish conquistadors called it manzanilla de la muerte, the little apple of death. Every tissue of the tree is toxic, especially the milky sap. Standing under it during rain can blister your skin from the water dripping off the leaves. Burning the wood releases smoke that can blind you. Touching the bark can scar you. A single bite of the fruit produces immediate burning in the mouth, then swelling of the throat, then agonizing pain that can last for hours. People have lost their vision from a single drop of sap reaching their eye. There is no antidote, only morphine and waiting. Caribbean warriors used to dip arrow tips in the sap. The arrow that killed the explorer Juan Ponce de Leon is believed to have been tipped with manchineel. The Guinness Book of World Records lists it as the most dangerous tree on Earth. And it stands, unmarked in most places, on beaches where children play every day. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, drop a comment and tell me. Which of these 10 plants grows where you live? And which one had you checking your own backyard? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.